Awesome. Right. At this time, I'd like to call the June 3rd, 2026 meeting of the Hamilton Planning Board to order. Start with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start with a roll call.
Yes, absolutely. Fred Rush, Vic Caruso,
Mike Rathmella.
Caitlin Jernigan,
And Michael Durante on board.
Mike Merrill,
And
and also President
I'm John Frawley, I represent Samuel.
Sam Augustus.
Diana Nalpa.
John Sutterly.
Right.
Yep, all right, first order of business, we have a conceptual consultation, they have to. Okay, all business, does anybody, thanks Mike. Anybody have anything to bring up, any past business?
No.
Seeing none, we will move on to the next order of business. The conceptual consultation, the adaptive reuse of 10.5 School Street, also known as the old ARD Middle School. And we received a conceptual consultation narrative. And along with that is a questionnaire with a lot of some questions you would like to see answered today. Would you like to start with a little presentation on any of that, or?
Oh, yeah, sure.
But,
Good. I sit here or
you could come up to your house, did everybody sign in? We have a final one.
Mike, I can throw stuff up on the screen here for you guys if you want it. I've got just kind of the overview. Here's town hall here, and here's everything, and I can drop the little dude if we want to go street view.
Okay.
Don't turn the TV on.
It's not working.
Functioning.
Oh, we're not gonna have it.
Oh.
Again, wasn't functioning, it won't, for some reason.
Yeah, no, everything's spelled out here.
Take a
So,
line.
did you want to add or not add?
Okay, cool. So maybe. And
No,
we
it's on that.
and yeah, well, that's another reason. Got disconnected somewhere. But he. See if the possible now.
You don't have IP feed or anything for that. $100 up front and then.
Again. That's the reason why we both say. Yeah. So. But, no, strong argument.
The food shop while it's going.
There we go. Chicken and the rescue, thank you. Dave. Alright, so. I'm evaluating the after the reuse of the ARD building into one of the residential complex. And I have provided a brief overview of what is the plan, what is the layout, nothing is laid in stone, it's just more of like based on whatever we saw. What is the feasibility study that we did, and is it even financially viable project for us to work out? So those are the initial things that we have done until now. We have met with the water department, we met with the sewer department. I think we met with the fire too, right? Someone from the fire department too.
I spoke with them.
Yeah, spoke with them, and at least we just socialize this project with a couple of the main folks in town to just give them understanding of this is the plan, this is the idea, what it is. And we also informally met Mike, Matt, and a couple of others in the past, just for an informal meeting, just to be even go down this path, just for some kind of a confirmation, like, yeah, just go down and figure out whether it is a viable project or not, right? So we are in very, very early stages, but what I presented is like what I know until now. And this is more of the, if you look at the layout page, this is kind of the layout that we have kind of planned or anticipated, which if with minimal structural change, right? Reuse the existing platforms as it without doing anything much structural, both exterior and interior, trying to figure out like how can I lay it out. So this is the plan. And again, as I said, it has to be financially viable for me to do it. So I want to reduce the number of structural changes possible to at least make it something that is more workable for the town as well. We have done something similar up in Woodstock, and it was very easy, I know, because we use it as a workforce housing now. So the town is pretty much happy with the output, and at least there are folks who are sitting there helping the local businesses being there. So and even some of the businesses are renting the apartments entirely to just house their employees. So that is our intent. We are not expecting this to be a high-end apartment complex. We are looking to support the workforce, especially, and the local housing. So that is why I want to keep the cost down as much as possible and see how much we need, right? So that is the intent, that is the goal, and I hope you all read through the document and I'll be open to questions. Any questions that you have, then I can go over the questions that I have. Right.
Okay.
I do have a question. Are you aware that school was, the state mandated that the school board either fix that school up or build a new building because there's a lot of structural problems with that building? Are you aware of that?
We were aware of the water damage that happened recently, but we were not aware of any structural damage.
Yeah, so you may want to check into with the school board to see what the problems were there. That's why we vacated that school. And we were to rebuild that building or make major repairs.
You referring to the Harriman report?
Yeah, I'm referring to the fact that the state went and did inspections of that building, that it needed repaired.
So there could be some copies of instructions available.
Yeah,
to the school.
yeah.
Yeah, we were not to make you aware of any structural damages, right? So yeah, we didn't go that far
Yeah,
to look at the structural integrity of the building itself. So we were told about the water damage that happened due to the sprinkler system. And I think that's on.
it's also my understanding that the diocese does not want to provide any parking over there, because they want to keep it for the church. What would how would you address parking?
So there is a ground to the side of the building, which is kind of pretty open. We want to use that for the parking lot. So that is the idea.
I have a question about that. So looking at the text part, it looks like the existing parking lot at the is part of your lot.
A little bit, yes.
Okay. So is that going to be your entrance?
Yeah, the entrance is good, yeah, I think that's going to be the entrance.
Okay,
That's going to be the driveway.
so you're not proposing a new driveway or anything?
Yeah, yeah.
So regarding any additional parking that you might need, it's basically, it's basically impervious surface right now, you're making a non-pervious surface. That will include the percentage of coverage on the lot, or will it increase the percentage of non-pervious coverage on the lot? And how will that affect? You need to take a look at that and see how that will affect the ordinances with the stormwater management, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I have like questions regarding that, of what to what extent you want me to go for the stormwater drainage management.
Yeah, I mean, you need to take a look at the ordinance
Mm-hmm.
and for the district you're in, the zoning district you're in, and the overlays that might apply. And then have a surveyor or an engineer figure out where you're going to end up and will that meet the town's requirements.
Sure.
Yeah, it's kind of rough to see probably where you guys are, but this is the zoning map. Um, so I'm gonna try and blow this up a bit and get into where we are. So here's School Street here, right? I don't know if you guys can see my cursor. And I think they're right about where the S and the C are located. So there's a lot of things overlaying. I know Mike just mentioned the infill zone. That's the red crosshatch. And then the blue crosshatch, which is all on this side, I think that's the aquifer zone. I just got to get to the legend here, wherever it is. Sorry about the motion sickness. Uh, yeah, the blue is the groundwater protection zone, which is now the MS4 zone. So yeah, you guys are actually no, it's not the MS4 zone. The MS4 zone is, come on, where did that go? Right here, the purple. So blue is groundwater, purple is MS4, and I think they all come together, but basically those two ordinances work hand in hand. And like Mike said, when you get into your design stuff, they'll be able to let you know. But the MS4 is notable. You know, it's stormwater, basically what it is. So if we go to the ordinance here, MS4, it should be, where the heck is it? Come on. It's good when it works.
Are you in the
Chapter
ordinance or regulation map?
oh yeah, you're right. I'm in site plan. That's a good point. That would be why. But the MS4 ordinance, yeah. Yeah, but the
Yeah.
MS4 ordinance, so this is chapter 26. Just have your, like we mentioned at our previous meeting, just have your engineer review it. It's an EPA requirement that the town adopt this ordinance. So a few years back, they adopted the model ordinance. And if I remember right, generally, it's like, here are these standards. If you want to deviate, there's a conditional use permit process associated with it. But basically, the stormwater standards are, they're in there, and that's what the site plan process is going to have to follow on stormwater.
Probably the student letter, probably on. That's not part of. It's just right.
No. Oh, between the start and the finish.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
yeah.
Because otherwise you'd be looking at doing state people's.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah. You want to look at the document?
So.
Seated.
The first one is, I think, we have specific requirements for conversion of a mill into residential unit, and that outlines certain requirements. So that still applies for school kind of a conversion. Based on the ordinances, I didn't see anything explicit for a school housing project. The closest I saw was mill dwelling housing project. Does this fall under that? Is it beneficial? It's not beneficial. How could I?
As far as, well, I think the mill part is just one part of the entire Sumterville and Infill Development District. And there's a few special things in there, and if I looked at that, it didn't really, that particular part would really help you one way or the other, I think.
I see.
So the MLM ordinance is ordinance, which means that it's not specifically legislated for the ordinance, then it's not available right now.
Because one of the requirements that I saw was, the minimum requirements for a 5 or 3 square feet. For a apartment, I'm not sure, does it apply, like, what is the general take on?
They would apply, yeah, in the absence of any other requirement that would change that, then that would apply. So in that particular case, if you wanted to deviate from that size of apartment, you would have to go to the zoning board under the ZBA for a variance.
Okay, so,
So for question number one, you are in the infill development district. You are in the residential R1 district. You are in the groundwater protection district. And MS4 stormwater management district. Those are the 4.
got it. And regarding the project itself, is the town welcoming of the project, like how do you view project like these? Because I come from Massachusetts, certain towns are very much for it, certain towns are against it.
Yeah.
So, how does the town?
Well, our role is to uphold the state statutes and our zoning ordinances and rules. And what we look for is how does any project comply or not comply with those? And we help folks guide them through it. And it's not really, we don't have as a board an opinion on whether we like something or not. That's irrelevant. What we do is we just make sure that we uphold the rules and that you uphold the rules. And we can work together to help each other out.
Understand, okay, because, I mean, when I said Woodstock, they were very welcoming of housing, they were in time need of housing, they said, once I brought the housing, they're like, we need it. What can we do to help you out, right? The decision is very different, right? Once they told me that they need housing for sure, and they have to move on some of the ordinances, zoning laws, just to accommodate it, so. I just want to understand like where the town stands from a need standpoint.
Yeah, I think the writing on the wall, and I mean, a lot of it's statewide. It's a lot of legislation and changes have been made to the statutes to increase opportunities for new housing.
Really workforce housing.
Yeah, I mean, that is what my intention is to, right? I'm not planning to do anything that's pretty high end. Pretty much that is standard and supporting the workforce housing. That's what my target goal is to. Cool, and the next one, right? Yeah, for the adaptive reuse, should I go through a ZBA and what extent should I go to the zoning board, what level of?
Yeah, so because it is in the infill district, then we would be able to basically do the conditional, make sure I get my terminology correct, but the conditional permit to the planning board. And that would include doing the conditional permit application as well as the it looks like the major site plan.
Yeah.
And just a quick cursory, I took a look through everything and the things that probably the bigger thing that stood out for me. Is a question that you asked. You asked before about the apartment limitations. Where what is it?
Yeah, I think it's.
8 units, maximum 8 units to a
Yeah.
thing, and it's also a lot area provision. And it looks like you wouldn't meet that if you were entitled to 20 in there. So that would be something that you would go to the zoning board for variance for.
I go to zoning board, and the other one is like the 5,000 square feet, recommended per dwelling unit.
So essentially, if you can't meet a requirement of the zoning ordinance, then you can request variance on zoning board adjustment, right? So the planning board can't approve variances to the ordinance. Planning board can only approve waivers to its site plan regulations or subdivision regulation. So if it's in the ordinance, you can't meet it, then it's a ZBA. You need to go and request a variance and basically plead your case to the ZBA. Right?
And as far as being able to put apartments in that building, because it's in the infill district, it allows multi-family. So you wouldn't need any variances.
Yeah, Mike, that's a good point. I know I heard Sam saying earlier, like the reuse, it's the end use of the residential that multifamily rather, that's permitted. So yeah, exactly what Mike's saying, right on, right? Like it's not the reuse, that's not the I mean, it's a permitted use because it's listed right here as multifamily dwellings.
Okay, good.
So yeah, the probably biggest obstacle would be the zoning board and being able to put more than 8
Hey, you
units in there and otherwise not meet the square footage.
got it. And
Yep.
anything to add, Matt, or that's it?
Yeah.
So. Something related to that, as of now, the proposal is 26 units, right? For whatever reason that. Due to water restriction or sewer restrictions, if they are unable to accommodate 26. Is it possible or will the board be open for a mixed use, as a mix of both residential and office use?
Yeah, I think that's allowable
That's
in
how,
the infill district to do that.
and is there any ratio that I need to uphold, like whether. How many residential units to a commercial unit or office space?
No, I don't really don't see anything at all like that.
No issue, but again. And I really figured out that, I mean, the reason for the current restriction, 10 units that the waterworks. Is putting in place is because of 2 wells out of 5 that are basically over PFAS
Mhm.
conditions and cannot be used currently. So if you draw down the water too far from the other 3 wells, the PFAS levels also increase in those wells and go above environmental limits. So that's why the waterworks cannot support more than 10 residential units. For your project currently. Now, if you're going to put in commercial unit, you may run into another issue with water use, depending on how much water commercial entities might use. So that would be another conversation you would have to have with the waterworks to make sure they can support that.
Yeah, they are currently doing the study to see how much more they can accommodate. They also mentioned that there are a couple of more applicants in front of me. But some of them are not following through, so that case might open up and I may be able, or they may be able to give me more units. Approve for more units, so that is still in discussions with the Matt County. And if at all, if they're able to hook up with the outside water source or probably the Manchester one. Or the
Concord.
fund. So I think that is down the line.
So in the somewhat related question of Mr. Chairman, is sewer, I didn't see any mention of you having spoken with the sewer department?
We did have a conversation with Sue. And they actually submitted a formal application. As of now, they didn't have any obvious facts, but they said that there has to be some repair done, that more repairs to be done. It is not very extensive, it's kind of minor repairs that has to be done. And once there's under an application, where engineer can take a look at it and provide guidance on what needs to be done. Okay, but they're very receptive to the idea and they don't have any obvious or like. That's
I'm just gonna go low, run it.
Yeah, okay. They outright red flags in that.
Because it's not really captive, because it was plumbed for a school, they said it had plenty of capacity to make it to the street.
There you go, so.
The infrastructure is already there.
Good.
So, yeah, that is that, and, yeah, my questions all, most of them are revolving around the density. How many units I can put in, because as I said, but. Buying, building, construction, everything has to be financially viable for me, like, let's say the units is not financially viable, wouldn't be for the, take the things. So if it all, if that push back from the water department. Is it possible to more of a conditional approval, at least a phase two? Say that for phase 1, you can approve for 10 units based on the water capacity. And actually give some conditional approval, once there are more water capacity available, I can just go and install more units, right? Because I have to look at from an electricity standpoint, what is the electricity that I pull from the pole into the unit, and if the transformer is doing more transformers. So I don't want to pull for 10, and then if I have to go ask for more 10, I don't want to redo them that one.
Yeah.
How can we approach that? Anything like guidance on?
Yeah, well, I think that you, since you're gonna do the site plan and the conditional permit, you would do it for all of them up ahead, but then when you get your building permit to actually start doing the renovations, and that might be more selective to what. Because the building permit, you have certain timeframes on when you have to start and finish construction. That might be the avenue where you phase it, where you're gonna do maybe the top floor or the bottom floor, or whatever.
I
start working through that.
It could also be during the application process, you apply for 26 and you do everything based off of 26 units. But then what the board, if the board wanted to, they could give you additional approval for 10 units. And then any other units will be subject to waterworks and sewer. To the fire department gentlemen, sitting behind you, you will be engaging with them as well. So from that perspective, it would be a phased approach. I mean, you might need to come back with the plan board about right now, at some point in the future for another 8 units, 10 units, whatever it might be. So keep that in the back of your mind, but I think the easiest way to move forward for you would be to plan for 26, even though you're only going to get 10 currently. That would be a limit for, I can't speak for.
Yeah, and if you apply for all at beginning, we could actually put it in the conditional approval that adds the water becoming consumed. Or in this case, the water becomes available, then you're done, you don't have to necessarily have to come back, or you'll be able to plan and know that you could put those in.
And looking at the dimensions of the apartments, some of the apartments are less than 500. So is it a hard no that all the apartments should meet 550, or can I go to the zoning board and ask for it?
Yeah, so you would add that to the other two
Yeah,
variances, maybe a number in the building and then the square footage.
Square footage.
Thanks.
So are there any site plan waivers that I can apply for? Given that it is more of a,
That will be dependent on what the design is. Right.
Yeah,
So, not knowing what the design is, I don't think the board can give you any guidance on what any waivers you could apply for, if any. Matt, do you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, so generally, waivers for site plan, so let me back up. So coming in as a major site plan, right? That designation as major as opposed to minor, all that really speaks to is the materials that get submitted to help the planning board make an informed decision about the application. The idea is that a major site plan, because it's a little more involved, it's going to have more materials submitted. So as far as waivers go, when you have your engineer working on the design and the application, they're going to identify potential waivers as they go, right? Let's just use a subdivision as an example, right? Let's say you're coming in for a 5-lot subdivision on a 500-acre parcel and you want to chop off, 5 10-acre lots. In that case, the survey would want to capture the acreage of those 5 brand new 10-acre lots, but the back 400 and some odd acres is not really relevant to the application. So in that instance, the surveyor may say, hey, can we get a waiver for the full survey on the back 400 some odd acres and just show the land up front? And in that instance, that could be a reasonable waiver request because they've got the information they need to make an informed decision about whether or not those lots up front meet the zoning dimensional requirements. In your case, it may, again, it depends when your engineer gets in there and starts designing. They may, let's see, I don't know, maybe there's something about I'm trying to pick a thing that future, future buildings or so, something related to that. Like, hey, we're not doing any future buildings. We're building within. So could we waive, showing the future buildings or whatever, right? Just kind of making something up. But I think that's the key is when your engineer gets into it, they're going to identify things that could seemingly be relevant, but may not be. That subdivision example is the easiest one I can think of, but yeah, I think when they get in there, they'll identify things and you would do a written waiver request for that particular item, whatever those items may be, and the board considers it. And at the end of the day, it's all about does the board have enough information to make an informed decision on whether or not it complies, like Mike was saying, does it comply with the zoning? Does it comply with the RSAs? And that's what's going to drive the decision to grant the waiver or not.
Yeah, so if you look specifically at the site plan review regulations, there'll be the section where it gets into nitty gritty, a whole bunch of small line items on submission requirements. So as you're going through that, or the engineer, or you can go through it yourself. And like Matt was saying, if there's one thing that really doesn't apply and there's no sense doing that because it's not gonna affect the decision one way or another, you would just keep a list, catalog, list of those. And then you present them all at once or once when we're hearing that.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And I will just say broadly speaking, when an applicant hires a surveyor or an engineer, you pay enough to have them design the plans, and part of that is they do a good job of shepherding you through that process. And their expertise will be helpful to you in a lot of these questions. They can rip through a lot of that and say, like that conversation about the density and going to see the zoning board, right? Like they'll help you with that. They'll help you with, waiver requests, getting your abutters list together. Like all of these things as part of the work is that they'll get you, they'll they'll help you get through a lot of the stuff. So I guess is what I'm saying. So
Samuel, just to circle back real quick, there was a question 6 about level of parking documentation. So basically, I mean, as long as you have sufficient parking spots, that will required by law, with one for every residential unit. So in this case, it would be 26. And you meet the site requirements of the zoning ordinance and their marking. And we sort of won't look it up with this. I think the parking space size is 9 by 19 in our ordinance, if I remember.
yeah.
Should decrease.
Yeah, it was decreased from 10 by 20, I think. A few years ago. So that would address. Not that, of course, it's gotta have your own property. Yeah, well, there are things you can do to satisfy that requirement. That's what it is, having an agreement about outside parking. Shuttle bus that brings people from a parking location to the apartments. There are different ways you can meet the parking requirement. But typically if you're going to do all on site, it would be a 26 parking space.
So it's like one per unit and not.
New Hampshire state law recently changed, and it's now, land use boards can no longer require any more than one residential parking space per residential unit. Just like here. That's just. One from 2, 1 and a 2. I only had one, I was not the 39. But that was all I was before.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean so looking at these last two questions here, have you had a chance to talk to the fire department? Because I think really for the planning board, they're just gonna look over, hey, fire chief, are you good? And it's really kind of what you guys work out with them. Have you guys had the chance to talk to them as of yet?
Over your shoulder, you know.
I talked.
Oh, you're talking to.
Yeah, I talked.
Okay.
So you do need to reach out to these two individuals sooner rather than later. And they will advise you on what's needed from life safety perspective.
I mean, our other concern now would be the access getting in there, because, right, they own part of the Rectory Hall parking lot, but like, they have dinners every Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So if that front parking lot's full,
You get it.
we need to make sure we can still get access to the building.
So there's one concern is the fire chief.
Plus the back parking lot.
Yeah.
It'd be at the backside by the other end by the church that has some restrictions on Saturdays and Sundays. And other days during the week when they have a special event going on at the church itself, but we still have to have access into that building.
Funerals fill up that parking lot
That's
quite a
big.
bit, and that's at any time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean. So our two concerns straight away that you need to, think about, along with anything else that in the fire department.
Do you think there would be more activity there as a residential unit than a school?
Yeah,
Well, you're gonna have,
More-
you're gonna
more
have
cars.
permanently cars there, right? So
Yeah.
it's gonna always be a resident, right? So. It's never gonna be empty, like right now, it's empty, there's nobody there.
Yeah.
The school day, they're there during the school day, but they leave it free, then the place is empty,
Oh,
right? So now.
faculty and staff all leave, the
Leave,
kids all leave.
Exactly,
Okay.
now you're gonna have people there that could not work, they can work nights, so they're there during the day, so now that car's there.
More activity
Ex-
throughout the day instead of sporadically at the
Exactly.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
The weekends, I think the week, you'll see the nights and the weekend usage is gonna change considerably because. That's when everybody comes home. This is a bedroom community, which you go down to Canal Street, you'll see. Parking lots thinned out during the day, but all of a sudden at 6 o'clock, that parking lot's full.
Yeah,
Same thing, if the church has got an event going on, where they're using the church parasol, now we're competing for the parking spaces.
right now it's like the tide comes all in, then it goes all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about consistent, yeah. Okay, thank you.
But if I can keep the parking lot on the existing ground, if you can make the parking lot there and still provide you access to the back of the building, to the next. Man, if you don't mind, can you open up the map? Yeah.
So what we're saying though, right, so if you look at, when he goes to the street view that he had earlier,
Yeah,
there's no real.
is that-
There's no real driveway on that property, there's curb going from one end of the property all the way across that driveway. So your driveway realistically would be on the opposite side of that pole. And then the church,
Other side of the volume.
on the other side of the
Yeah.
pole, if you look at your plan, your driveway is supposed to be on the opposite side of the pole. So if the church is having their event, like the supper, because that's what they're having that night, because that's the side. So they park on that grass as well. So if that driveway is not a signified driveway that we know we can get into, we're gonna have trouble getting there if there's a fire alarm at the same time as they're having that dinner.
So when you
We'll
get
get
back to the
trouble.
picture, it's a little deceiving because it still shows still monastery building.
yeah.
I was about to say, did you guys
Really?
catch that? Like if you
Yeah.
look at the,
It's bad pictures.
Yeah, it's a whole picture.
yeah, like there's the building. And then let's
It's
go
an
drop in and
That building was demolished.
Yeah, that was the old convent, that's
Yeah.
gone.
And so that would be your driveway right there.
Yeah,
Was it titled?
This will be the private, if you don't mind, and I was planning to use these lots that belong to this building. And the plan will open up on the.
But what I'm saying is with your driveway being between the rec hall and their other property, they're gonna park cars in that other lot. So now we have to get a fire truck down that middle of that driveway. If it's not an actual like marked or
Designated driveway.
or in the way to make them not park there, we're gonna have trouble getting in there.
Got it.
That's what I was trying to.
Okay, but if I can make that as a more of a designated driveway,
Do you need?
You'd have to mark it as a fire lane,
Yeah.
right?
Not yet.
In school.
Just stretch out, that's 49 feet long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It
So
is.
if you need turn radius, it's like around. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an NFPA one.
Okay.
yeah.
Not that there's one.
You sure there's?
I think it's, Chris, I think there is one, it's just, there is one on the map, I just don't think it was ever like fully like laid out. Yeah, Yeah,
Good thing is.
he's very lucky because there's one on the map showing that there's a reflection. That would be a pain. Yeah, yeah.
You know, that fire system took a beating over the winter.
Yeah,
Can you bring up the bird's eye view map one second? And if you want to access the rear, if you can go to the right of the building, that's a space behind the building.
Yeah.
Is that good enough, do you think?
Well, we would realistically, to be honest with you, that building, we would never go to the back except for that corner by the gym. That's the only spot we would ever really have to go to. Most of our access is gonna be in the front of that building.
That
So
little,
wherever the doors are, the main entrances, because if we're going in there for a medical, we're only going in the front door. We're only gonna go in the.
We're not gonna fit fire apparatus behind the building anyway. I don't believe it will fit into the fence.
No, later on.
Oh, and on the rear, they have like 2 or 3 egresses currently. I think so. I may be wrong. I think
There's at least two back. there.
Yeah, I think they have.
So you wanna keep those still active for the people, but we would most likely use everything in the front of that building. We would not really go to the back.
Okay. Sure. Okay, and the last question is, as you can see in the map, right? We have a huge fitness center, and I don't have any plans for it now. Will the town or does any town need to use that fitness center, or is there any kind of a good need for the fitness center at all? From a town standpoint?
I'm not sure what the issue is with AES, that gym. And
Well, that one, the available one on town hall lose.
Yeah.
Later this year, so. Will have an event center, quote unquote.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
So I'm not to give you a definitive answer, but off the top of my head, I don't see any need for that though.
Alright.
We would check with the school, though, I have heard that they've been using it, but the town has not had any events over there.
Yes.
They do something.
Good,
So question 9 about stormwater and we talked about stormwater and stormwater management, you know, and landscaping. Probably keep yourself separate from surrounding residences. Use, you know, typically it's downcast lighting, so there's no light pollution onto our properties. You know, things of that nature. But again, your engineer can work with all that, which is.
I think that's all. Okay, good. I don't think I have any more questions per se. Alright. And what's the typical turnaround time, if at all, which is still a need to do? If I hire an engineering firm to draw all the things that come in on it, so what is the typical turnaround time, the feedback loop and?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. So you have to submit a formal application, pay the escrow fees, you know, the application fees, escrow fees, all that kind of thing. After that point, then what a technical review committee meeting will be formed. That will include officials, fire department, police department, sewer, water, etc. And items looking out of that, we have no control over that. So, you still have to go back and do some redesign, or you may be fine. All right. And then after that point, if you do have to do any, you know, redesign or rework the plans or whatever, planning board likes to see applications basically 25 days before the meeting. It's time to look at everything. We don't know yet, of course, because you haven't gotten there, but we don't know what kind of reports you might have to think about. One thing that comes to mind right away is school impact. How many students are likely to be in 26 units? And you talk about 26 and 10, and the phase approach and that kind of thing. That's one thing. You should speak with the police department about traffic and it does now, just not as constantly probably as it will in the future. So they may have something, they may not. Just trying to think outside the box about what you need to look at. Okay.
And any questions, John?
How about number of bedrooms? Number of bedrooms per,
Yeah, I think
like you've got
If
some
you-
are 1,000, some are 700.
the darkest blue, those are the ones that are 2 bedrooms.
Okay,
And the slightly lighter blue, those are kind of the 1 bedrooms.
Okay.
And the less than 500, I just made it up for studio apartments.
Okay.
So it's more of a studio apartment. If the zoning board does not agree to it, then maybe have it reconfigured. But that is how I just laid it out.
I have 2 questions. The impact fees, when these change to residential use, is there an impact fee, and is it per unit or is that new construction?
So Allenstown has an impact fee ordinance, so we cannot, because we've not done the back end.
Okay.
So we cannot assess impact fee.
Okay.
The only thing we could do would be potential offsite exemptions, but it's very limited, very specific circumstances. Which may or may not.
And on that same topic, right? Since I'm more focusing on the workforce housing, what kind of incentives does the town or the state have that I can go and tap into? Like, is the kind of impact, if at all, if there is one, can that be waived, or like any of the incentives that the town has to work with the state?
I don't know if the town has any incentives currently.
I didn't hear the question.
Are there any incentives from the town? I definitely know that state has some of the incentives, from a town standpoint, because I'm focusing more on the workforce housing.
We didn't have a tax relief for refurbishments and rebuilds. So there is, there is potential for that as well. It's a graduating relief that, you know.
Yeah.
As the years go by, you pay more and more.
Who would you see for more information on that?
We'll speak with the town clerk or the town administrator, either one of them, be able to give you that information.
Okay,
The specific of it.
good. Do I have to explicitly apply for it, or that's?
Yeah, apply for it,
Okay.
it's not just assumed.
Good.
And there's a
Matt,
time in which you have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, you wanna make sure you meet the
Okay.
time frame.
would that be 79E?
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, Mike, that would be 79E. And that's handled by the selectmen.
Yeah.
Um,
We
Yeah.
may require a town meeting. Okay. So keep that in mind. So, and I don't believe that particular,
It does require a town.
yeah, that particular zone doesn't have. Not covered by the current 79 zone. I believe this one. It's something looking.
And one thing just to verify, as far as the number of units go, I just highlighted this really quick. So this is in the overlay
Hold on.
district.
I think we lost the signal.
Sorry, it was me. I'm the problem.
You guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
man.
Yeah, I know early on you guys were talking about it. I wasn't quite sure how it landed, but I was just looking at this and I just underlined it, right? Like, so this would drive the density calculation. So to determine the number of units, it's 5,000 square feet divided into what he's got for acreage. And
Yeah,
this here, it basically says if you want to deviate from these, you would need to go just on the number of units, you would need to go see the zoning board. So I just wanted to make sure that that was out there and you guys had mentioned it.
Yes, I think Mike had mentioned it, that I have to go to the zoning board.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. I wasn't sure if I was remembering right or not.
Yeah, I think by the books, I can do 21. I'm just asking for a 5 more units. Because that property has 0.49 acres.
Okay.
For 10,000 or so square feet, right?
Like 108 108-ish,
So I think you're good on that. It's
Yeah.
like,
21, I think I can, around 21, so I need.
Yeah.
Find more.
yeah, the one that I talked about with the zoning board, that's specific to the apartment. Chapter, it's a 1301, Yes. 10,000 square feet. Per unit. So that's what we need to
Yeah.
vary to.
2,000 square feet per unit. What's the difference for Enfield versus others? I thought. What was that section again?
1301.
1301.
Shoot.
So how is that different from what Matt was showing?
Yeah, that's a good question.
We'll find it.
So,
That may be trumped by the info, I'm not sure, yeah. But that's-
yeah,
Look into. Because
so,
trumps the 1301, then you're good.
Okay.
If not, then okay. But that's something, yeah, we definitely need to zero in on that. Good answer.
Good.
okay, so this should, okay. Overlay depicted, blah, blah, blah. The ordinance is adopted. It authorizes, okay. As an overlay district, the underlying uses shall be permitted in addition to the uses authorized by this ordinance. I would say that it's actually the Suncook infill that controls, but in any event, the number of 26 units would require a variance regardless.
Got it.
Yeah.
No, but the variance is not a lot. If it's 21 to 26, it's okay, but if it's 10 to a 26, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
that's a different story. Yeah. It sounds like the biggest issue on that is the conversations you had with Pembroke Waterworks.
Yeah.
That sounds like your biggest challenge. But yeah. Okay. Okay.
I have a question, with regard to the limitation of town water. What's to prevent him from digging his own well?
I was supposed to ask that, it just.
Yeah, I mean you could do that. I don't
Kind of requirements and setbacks from surrounding properties.
The main thing when I have boating, we got our wells.
Yes, you could do that. You could do that, certainly. Again, you have to be setbacks and requirements. And
Yeah.
throw a well right on somebody's property, for example.
Matt, if you could leave this picture up, this might be really obvious to everyone else, but all the parking. That the church is using, is that on church owned property or is that on this property? Can you look at the tax map?
Yeah.
It's very,
It's not very clear.
okay.
It's clear as mud.
As clear as this paper.
Exactly. Allegedly.
So,
Yeah, they just haven't.
I mean, once they survey it, you'll know for sure, but I guarantee you those
Right.
cars are on his property.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Once they survey that, it'll be a whole different story.
It's the church.
Right.
That's a parking lot behind it, that's where people park. Yeah, obviously, when they go to church, when they have funerals and stuff, right? Right there. Right, that's like full on weekends and when they have funerals, it's packed.
Okay. That's fine, that's church property.
Yeah, that right there. Those are the.
at the school, but I think they have, right?
And you know, when schools.
Because these are the caveats, so you wanna look at that.
Use, we'll use it on weekends use.
Yeah.
So that,
So in reality,
That's-
I mean, you have 87.1
Picture's still dated.
feet of
oh, yeah, and the content's still there.
right? Which includes, or
What was all this?
Yeah.
so.
That used to be a basketball court back in the day, now it's all grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
When I was a kid, that was about. Tennis court is.
Tennis court, basketball court.
I think that is what do you call, the right of way or.
They have a covenant.
And they have an easement on it for the lot. So that was what's supposed to us, they have an easement on it, so that they can part of building the church tower.
And so they're not gonna give that up.
Yeah.
Well, if they have an easement though, who says how much you have to let them park? What if you?
He's widen it a little.
Widen this up and not let them park right here,
So-
curb it.
John, if they currently have an easement, then that will trump everything, unless the easement is modified.
So the easement already dictates how wide of a parking.
That's something you have to investigate.
Yeah,
I don't have.
if you put curbing right here,
Yeah.
and right here would be all set, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So that white roof right there, that's where the old convent was, that's an open piece of property.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah,
discuss
that's
it?
bizarre.
A lot adjustment or anything?
not yet,
No.
no.
Is that all
I mean-
owned by the?
It's gone, right?
Yeah, thanks, like, really, it's grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so odd that building is in one picture but not the other.
I mean, the only thing that would help you would be if you could get that land that's to the right here, right, if you could get this.
Yeah, the old
Right.
one.
Whole common property. There is a driveway there, which realistically then you can. Somewhat leave this to them, to in good faith, right, leave this property to them. And put your driveway in a different direction.
Well, you,
right?
you have to do a lot line adjustment.
Yeah, but that's, I'm saying, he could do it
Yeah.
that way and make it so that for good faith with the church and the.
Yeah.
The rec hall, to keep that parking in front, because if not, I think you're gonna have a lot of trouble with parking.
Yeah,
Even in your own like parking spots, I guarantee you. Once that overflows, people are gonna go back there next to.
They're gonna grab a parking
It's
spot.
exactly, it's the
Yeah.
closest place to them.
yeah.
They will assume it's all.
Exactly.
They don't have any parking attendants.
No, no.
Yeah, Timmy is the other.
You have to put those stickers on the cars.
Clarify anything, but.
I have also. The convent was demolished several years ago.
Yeah.
Why is it still going on this map?
Because it's still, the property is still owned by the.
Oh, yeah, the building is still,
Yeah.
the building is still on the map. So this isn't an inaccurate map.
Probably,
They're only updated so often.
Yeah.
talk to Evan.
We'll get to those
That's
maps.
why that's not this for this.
Yeah, that's 20. I think this is 2020. Well, no, that can't be.
The convicts are down for a while, 3 years.
Oh, okay.
So it's.
Yeah,
5 years.
they started getting tax bills in 23, so. probably
Check
took it
this
down
out.
to 22.
Top left-hand corner here, when I go to Street View, says September 2023. And I don't know. This has got to be way older.
Usually right on the bottom.
Of the,
Yeah.
it was gone when I came to town in 23, so.
Yeah, it's
Down here, 22.
They're probably taking a month on it, too.
Work on-
Yeah.
Yeah, probably 22,
Two.
because when I worked. Tax laws, got here first. Still.
What's happening with this building?
Any other questions?
What's the?
Yes.
The only other question I have, and we don't have an aesthetics ordinance here, but. How is your property usually look? I mean, can you put any landscaping out if you?
Yeah, I can make a picture that is expressive of us. Yeah. It's not going to be a nice one, that I can.
That's it, guys, and thank you for coming in, and thank you so much. We hopefully get you something, how we get to move forward. Yes, thank you so much.
It's a report that they did to school on the building.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Yeah.
But
For the record, I heard this on the website, your life. It's 22,
2022, okay.
I wrote the story.
You got,
You can even have to look that up.
Goes and looks up his stories, so, and there you go.
All right. Any other thoughts on that? We'll move on to the next item. Good.
He's also.
Also for them. So they won't find too much in.
All right,
Selection of Alan.
yeah, so,
So that.
okay, so, municipalities in New Hampshire. Can send a commission representatives of the municipality to be part of the Central New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission meetings, essentially, which meetings. They happen about once a quarter or so. Allenstown typically is two or allowed two representatives. What happens here, the planning board, is that, two people agree to be nominated by the board. To represent Allenstown, at the Central Regional Planning Commission meetings, about 4 times a year. And those meetings, they talk about all sorts of things, those meetings, they talk about attendance. They talk about major, projected road works, they talk about all sorts of stuff, they also have keynote speakers about different topics that come in and talk about different topics related to land use. In New Hampshire and other parts of the country as well. So if any of you are interested in representing Allenstown on the commission, we can get you nominated tonight. It takes a vote of the board to nominate people. And then this format we fill out and signed by the chair of the board of selectmen. And then we send that off to Michael Tardif at Central New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission, and then Michael will reach out to you because they have your email and your phone number. and Michael will reach out going forward the information and documentation. You'll also review the budget, the Central New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission budget and stuff like that. It's not going to be involved and to be other planning and zoning board members from other towns. So. Anybody interested?
I stand ready to nominate anybody who moves, because the figure it's. I think I saw it.
Thank you very much, so nomination, thanks.
did you go with that?
Seriously, you're interested?
Are you interested?
What?
So it's typically on a Thursday evening, but there's no set schedule.
Oh,
It's about once a quarter. Usually the third month. Usually typically. It usually lasts about 2 hours or so. You interested? Well, all right.
I nominate Joe. To serve on the,
do I have to read?
like, that, CN. Representative.
So Joanna is nominated, so you can probably vote for the nomination.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, second. Anybody second? Okay, roll call vote.
Allison. Thurgood, yes.
George Caruso, yes.
Correct, yes.
And you can vote for yourself.
I can, okay, Joanna, yes.
Oh, I'm trying to, I thought you would see it in ages.
That's it up there, right?
Yep, and anybody else?
Anybody else interested?
Well,
You should send one, and we don't have to send it to. You can go too if you want.
and we do,
Yeah.
Is
Go ahead.
yeah, really quick. We do have next Thursday night is our full commission meeting, our one for the quarter. So,
You could get invited to that.
yeah.
I shouldn't say this, you don't have to go.
Okay.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's super government.
It's only,
We have two, if we don't have one person interested, we just said. That's is anybody else? No,
Okay,
no takers, so just one.
are you all set by yourself?
It's hard, it's, Matt, it's still a Horseshoe Pond, right?
What's that?
Still on Horseshoe Pond, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there's a meeting up back,
What time on Thursday, sorry?
6 o'clock, I think it is.
I think it's 7 is when it starts. Yeah.
So, about 7 to 9, 4 Thursdays a year.
I think so.
That's what we do, all right.
And you'd be representing the zoning board as well. So it's like, well, thank you for your service.
Who can we nominate, Charlie?
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Actually,
Second, Allison Jurga,
Roll call vote.
Allison Jurga, yes.
Ready,
Trish, on.
Mike Cross, aye.
Mike Frankie, aye.
Very good, thank you both for volunteering. We appreciate it. You actually do,
Yes. I'm
research
ready.
this stuff, you know. All right, good, so, next,
Uh,
oh.
just
Fine.
on that, I don't know if I'm looking at my calendar. I didn't put it in, but just double check before you go, but I'm pretty sure it's next Thursday.
Oh,
Yeah.
where can we verify that?
I will, I can just shoot an email if that helps.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, I know. When they were doing all that stuff.
Actually, while I'm sitting here, I'll just shoot Mike a text. Hold on.
Have a good meeting, because I have a second number that.
Yeah.
So I just don't remember it, so I will get it to you.
That was, that's the reason.
Okay, let's see.
All right, hey, I'm on, get out of here.
All right.
You finally think to go to.
Yes, I do. All right. Yeah, thanks guys. Good questions tonight. And we'll just touch base on next Thursday. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, man.
Yep. Bye.
Unapproved minutes. 2026, anybody have any? Edits for the minutes? I'm sure everybody read them right through. All right. Can I hear a motion to approve the minutes from the 2026? Roll call vote.
Allison Jurga, aye.
Bye.
Trish, on.
Mike, aye.
Mike J, aye.
Keep well. All right, so let's making its way around, Mr. Chairman, we can move on to legislative updates. Actually, confirm the meeting is next Thursday, it's next
Thursday. What's that date?
This will be the 5th, this Thursday.
The 11th.
Yeah, I don't have to bring up my calculator.
All right, so I have a little bit of activity, but nothing other than HB 1161 is actively signed into law since our last meeting. The removal from consent notation once a year is just representative names should be removed from the bill for some reason. Whatever it is. Then along with participating. So I'll have more, I'm sure, moving through.
Sorry.
Any more?
Sorry about that. It's on there and just.
So, keep updated.
That's as big as
Yeah,
consequential as last year's.
right. I doesn't seem like as many as last year will go through. Which is kind of what I think, because having that many amendments on you know, for people to vote on, their eyes glaze over after about 5 or 6, it's like, yes or no.
Oh, yeah.
Put on whatever line. No, it's not.
Kind of like on the second year, a lot of it just disappears.
Yeah. Yeah, because we talked about last time, all those ones in yellow, in excluding the legislature, which means that they're not dead, they're
Right,
hanging out,
right.
and they might ever reply or they may not, and as Allison said, after 2 years, they just. Okay, I'm going to start review 2 quick things under other business. So if you remember, we accrued some money last year into this year for an impact fee study. So I talked with Matt Monahan about that this week to see what we need to do to get that up and running. Currently, we are gathering 10 years worth of building permits for the town, which we will then assess for housing. So single family residences, you know, mobile homes, ADUs, you know, that kind of thing. Not, I don't care about, you know, that you had a permit to replace your water heater and stuff like that. That doesn't factor in. So once we get that information, Alana is working on it for us. And she actually should be ready probably by the end of the week. Then we have to take that information and look at surrounding towns in the same way. And then figure out whether it's viable, feasible, whether we should do it, whether we shouldn't, right? If we did it, you know, how do we exact those fees? How much, you know, can it be for residential dwelling or commercial and, you know, commercial establishment, whatever. And we can see if the town would actually garner enough money from that to be useful, right? So that's all to be factored into this as we move forward, right? So, but first we're going is gathering the basic information that will then allow us to do the survey, which is the major part of what's required, the survey of surrounding towns based on where we are and they are. And then we'll come back to the board with more information on that. Okay, so it's starting.
Being worked on.
Yeah, it's starting. It's
Thing for us to.
yeah, it's something to look at. It's something that might be beneficial. You know, to at least get some fees when something impacts us.
Sorry for bringing it up, it's just that Kathleen mentioned it a couple times last year, so I thought this was already in the work, so
Yeah.
I thought it would be a.
No, other things that take priority.
Doesn't matter.
You don't have to be sorry for it.
No,
Any thought you.
keep our feet for sure. Yeah. Keep it fire. The other thing, we need to work on, well, we need to work on, we should work on is master plan. The master plan is 10 years old this year, right? Now. We don't have funds for it, well, we sort of, we have $200 in a capital reserve fund that we can use. I think what we should do, and I talked about this, is rather than write off the whole thing, go through the whole master plan all at once, is taking 2 or 3 chapters at a time. That's completely acceptable. Even in fact, it's almost recommended because it keeps it alive, rather than do it once and then forget about it for 10 years. Which has happened, which happened the last one. So we're gonna look at that, but after we get through the initial, you know, burden of the impact fee study and stuff like that. So probably later this summer, we'll probably come back to the board and we'll look at the chapters that are in the master plan and then decide, as the board, you can decide what you want to look at this year. And we can at least get that done, and then we could skip next year or do the year after, or we could do 2 more chapters next year, you know, the board can decide how you want to approach that. And start moving forward on that, and probably do that going forward, then it's time 3 or 4 months of work, I have all my time, right? It's a couple weeks, you know, or months over 2 meetings or something. You know, that kind of thing, so anyway, the one did mention those 2 things, that are in progress and we'll start soon.
Yeah, well, thank you for keeping us on track with
Yeah.
those things.
So, yeah, so I mean, the amount plan popped into my head last week, it's like, oh, that's 2026, we did that 10 years ago, so.
Well, there's a lot of meetings where we have a light schedule, so I think it'd be
Yeah.
like that, that's
Yeah. We could actually, you know, have a meeting, to spend some time on it, yeah, exactly. Be productive, that's what you said. Be productive.
So are we able to pick and choose the chapters or?
Yes,
Wonderful.
no, we can pick and choose,
I love
That's
that.
nice. Like, do those impact later chapters?
Yeah. Some of them could, so we probably need to be cognizant of that as we move forward. And look at them, so it may make sense to do chapter 4 and 10, for example. Just pull numbers out of the air.
What's related?
Yeah, it's somewhat related. Thanks, do those at one time. Then there will be process, once, like a survey. It's probably isn't alone, but that survey that informs what you do in some other chapters, that kind of thing.
I think I'd like to look at it and see if there are any chapters that really stick out as in dire need of
Yeah.
overhaul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And maybe then whatever's associated with that most dire need.
Do those first.
What you're saying.
Makes sense. That's it.
You don't have to read the whole thing, to figure out what kind of dire need.
And more. That's all I got, sir.
All right, next meeting is scheduled for the 17th.
Yep.
2 weeks from now. If all we have on the agenda is minutes, we'll most likely cancel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see if anything else pops up. Minutes.
has this board considered, presenting an aesthetics ordinance for the zoning board to consider? I think it's, you know, the reason why I keep bringing this up, the towns that are using aesthetics ordinances are finding that they're getting more attraction to businesses wanting to come into that town, because businesses find that if they're in an aesthetically pleasing zone, there's more traffic. So, and it can be simple things like just making sure that there's grass in the knoll between the, you know, the street and the, you know, parking lot or building, you know. It doesn't have to be a grandiose plan, but it does improve the attraction of the town to bring in businesses, to bring in developers such as these guys, or maybe even some people that might looked at that building and said, we'll just demolish it and rebuild, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Everybody zones. Or business owners or.
Yeah,
How's that?
it could be commercial, could be residential, you know, it could be anywhere, you know, be something we could research and figure out what might work for Allenstown.
Yeah, that'll be a good time to bring it up because we have time
Yeah.
to get it into the thinking next year.
Yeah, on what that could look like. Okay.
You get samples from other towns that.
Yeah,
I was looking this for like historic districts. I don't know if I've like seen those
For what?
historic districts.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of towns that just do it, go out the whole town. For either business, commercial properties and or residential, it doesn't necessarily tie just to historical district. Although that, I think traditionally, when you look at older aesthetic ordinances, that's where they were tied. Right? But yeah, towns are really developing it throughout their towns.
I mean, we're talking going as far as what color tarp you can put in your firewood. Because I don't want.
About like, you know, Bedford probably has very defined aesthetic ordinances. Hooksett has some, but not, you know, to the extent that Bedford does. Auburn has some, you know, so you think about these different towns that have kind of a cleaner look to them. They generally have aesthetic ordinances that's why they look the way they do. It's not because everybody there.
Well, we could start with town
Does
hall. These garden beds are disaster.
We would have to lead by example.
Yeah, you took the good, you wanna take a look at that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Chapter, these were coming up.
They say one? Oh,
He's a Pembroke Women's Club, that's it. But he's, we care about.
Resident garden.
The appearance of the town.
Yeah. And those kinds of things do kind of naturally stem from that. You know, garden clubs and that kind of thing, they're just kind of a flowing of that. So, yeah.
Anything else? All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Roll call vote.
Allison, I.
Donna, I. Commissioner Allen.
Okay, I.
Okay, aye.
Adjourn, 7:53, thank you everybody.